Today, I'm going to share with you how I overcame eldest daughter syndrome. And I'm also going to share the backstory of how it even became a thing and what I'm doing every day and three things that I do every day because the healing is never finished. My name is Laurie, and I serve high functioning eldest and only daughters and sensitive leaders from immigrant and culturally complex families who are successful on the outside and exhausted in the inside. So let's talk about the root issue. How is eldest daughter syndrome even a thing? The root issue is cultural conditioning, right? I think we can all concur that even in this time and age in 2026, that women do a lot more, if not all, of the emotional labor and even physical labor in the household. We talk about invisible labor a lot. And, you know, I think it's actually being a woman in general, right? We tend to have this double standard, right? That we're expected to, I think there's a saying that says it's like, look like a young girl, work like a horse, and never complain. It's kind of crazy. So even if you're not an eldest daughter or only daughter, you probably resonate just as a woman, and that's okay. And I am so excited that you're here because I think the more that we talk about it and the more angry we can get about it, the more we can actually take steps to actually not perpetuate this into the future and into the generations that follow. So the more awareness that we are maybe even competing with each other, maybe holding ourselves to these double standards and they don't even make sense to ourselves. So instead of taking that energy of being like, oh, how come men don't have to do this? Just don't do it. I know it sounds crazy, but it's really true that if there are double standards that you don't agree with, I'm here to tell you, you don't need my permission. You need to give yourself permission to not do them anymore. Let me tell you a little bit of my story. As I was a young girl, and mind you, I'm the eldest of five. My parents are Chinese Vietnamese, and, the quintessential, they need to have a son. So, me, three daughters, and then their last son. So, the girls had a lot of rules, and mainly me, I wasn't allowed to do a lot of stuff. Like, I was never able to play sports. And it's kind of interesting when I tell people that, my first competitions were speech and debate competitions. Like, it was actually only okay for me to talk. Maybe that's why I'm so good at it now, but I really think it's why I went into yoga therapy. I never had body awareness. I remember trying to run the mile every month in PE, and it was absolutely the worst thing because I just didn't have any coordination. And not only that, I am sure now that I have some scoliosis issues from not being able to use my body as I should have in my childhood. And also, I think what's most important when we are young is that we get conditioning for our bodies so that as they're growing, we're actually letting the muscles grow and letting the alignment of your pelvis and your shoulder girdle, everything should be moving. So I don't think it's okay to just tell your kids and especially your daughters, hey, you should just stay home and do homework. And I think also when you practice sports and do more physical things and you actually physically feel strong, that you would feel strong in your body. And I'm sure there are athletes out there who struggle with anxiety. Again, I'm not saying that being strong is all you need, but I think as a young girl, I would have felt more confident in myself had I been able to actually take full ownership of my body, being able to run and jump and actually do things like everyone else. So I really think that one of the main reasons why I went into yoga therapy training, not just from burnout, but It was really because I craved being able to actually use my body and become connected with it. And I think, we can have this inner intuition of emotions, but I think intuitively feeling through your body of where these emotions are landing is also something that's not really talked about. So I'm really grateful for the training that I've had in yoga therapy. And not only that, but I always say, you teach what you want to learn. So I am so grateful for this path that I have because it was not until later, like after doing therapy, talk therapy with a professional, and I've gone through a few, that I really realized that a lot of the anxiety and even neurodivergence thinking that I had was actually from my upbringing and being able to see the patterns so clearly. And even as a yoga therapist, I always focus on holistic growth. I was realizing that, wow, like my body is not connected to my heart and to my spirit and to my mind. And the more I would practice the yoga and integrate it into different facets of things that I do, from, being able to do different things on ClassPass, like even pole and twerk and Pilates and now pickleball. It's been amazing to feel how much physical strength you can have, and that translates into resilience. So that's really exciting. I want to tell you the three things that I practice daily to overcome eldest daughter syndrome, because unfortunately, there is no pill or one yoga pose that you can do to just cure everything and you never have to think about it again. If you know what it is, please share it with me. But from my own practice and education from learning, we have the conditioning that was given to us in the first 3 to 5 years of life. And it's like you spend a lifetime training yourself out of it. That's just the way it goes. So here are the three things. The more I learned about the eldest daughter syndrome, the more seen I felt. So this is really important because for the longest time, I was like, is this even a thing? Like, I really thought that this issue was just me. Like, I was the only one feeling this eldest daughter syndrome that to me didn't have a name yet. And when I read the book, when I joined a collective, I realized that this was all really normal. This is just the product of immigrant families, of intergenerational trauma, of patriarchal societal conditioning. This is just everything that everyone else also deals with. So I think being able to feel seen and relate to other people, to have community who also feel the same way, to be witnessed, or not just witnessed, but witnessed, like they are with you. That is so powerful because I just don't believe that healing happens in isolation. Healing happens in community. So being seen, not just when you read the book, but when you are with other people, it just makes it feel more real, right? That it's not just living in your head and in your emotions and you're fighting yourself. Like, why do I feel this way? I think what we tend to forget as eldest daughters is that we can do it all, right? There's that high achieving archetype there, but it's actually okay to not be in isolation or fighting for survival by yourself anymore. Like that was a game changer for me. The second step, I think, is way harder, is to stop being busy. There are so many people that I now avoid because if they say, oh my gosh, so busy, I'm just like, ooh, like we do not share the same values. I do not fill my schedule to see more people or to achieve things that don't matter to me. I don't believe that your productivity is your self worth anymore. And that comes from healing that high achiever part of you. Even the second mother part, it's like constantly feeling like you have to be there for other people, right? Or even being their emotional container. It's like being able to be very intentional about where you share your presence, about what you're doing has been such a game changer because instead of people pleasing and trying to just do whatever and just scatter my energy, I'm pouring it into myself. So when you stop being busy, you basically set really firm boundaries about where you want to spend your time. And I think that that is the core of this eldest daughter like healing. Because when we were young, we were taught that, oh, you have to take care of your younger siblings, or you have to translate and you have to fill in forms and you have to insert the list of things and it's never done. So it's like as an adult, we tend to be like, oh, let me do more things because that's just what I do. So when you break the cycle and you stop being busy, that is where the game changes because then you put yourself first. And it's funny because people will say, you have to be selfish. And I feel like that just puts such a wrong spin on things. Like you are not being selfish. You were being selfless. Let's be clear. You were being selfless. You were letting other people run the show, right? It was like you were not the driver of your own car. You were just like, oh, my car is full of gas. You want to drive it? And then you, and then you, and then it's like, you're just like exhausted at the end of the day. Let that sink in. So the last part, the last step that I do daily, which I think is really important because if you took step 2 literally and you're like, I'm only going to work and doing nothing else but seeing my family or friends, like that is good already. And healing comes in phases, right? Just like the seasons. So the last part is about action. Again, not just scattered action, but action that transmutes this trauma, right? If you think about it, this eldest daughter, only daughter trauma is from feeling like we have to please everybody and do all the things to be a good person. So now the question is, what do you want to do? If you didn't have to do the things for other people, for all the other commitments that you might already have, what would you do? Because that is a transmutation of the trauma. When you take action that is aligned with your dreams, with the things that are deep in your heart, that the calling that you feel, they are not by accident, right? These are things that you are called to do. And by doing other things that other people want you to do, you are ignoring your calling. You're not doing the thing you are here to do. We talk about this trauma, and when we take action, it is actually transmuting all of that pain and suffering, all of that resentment and regret. And if you really want to take it a step further, that's why good art is good, right? Because we can feel the pain and the joy and the confusion and just all of the emotions in the brushstrokes or in the colors. It's like actually allowing your life to be art and actually taking all of this stuff that you feel and putting it out for people to see. And I'll give you a really short example of how I do this because whenever I feel like, we have a lot of things happening in the world today. It is February 2026. And instead of feeling fear, instead of feeling, the injustice, I put that energy into creating the world that I want to live in. And that is how I transmute my trauma. That's how I recycle the skill sets that being the eldest daughter has given me. Because it is one thing to put yourself first and to have firm boundaries. It's another to actually become an activist and to actually put forth what we need more of in this world, which is your humanity. If this video resonated with you and you want to go deeper, I invite you to my 7-day initiation course. It is just 2 to 3 minutes of audio recordings from me, just guiding you to find space in your own life. After you complete this course, you'll get invitations to self-care atelier and other spaces that I don't share publicly. Hope to see you inside.